Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Heart Breathings. So I am working on Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw this week. I work on it every week, but I've got a determination to get it done as soon as possible. I have a little bit of a break from travel, and so I am knee deep in edits. I've got my note cards. We're going to talk a little bit about how I go through those edits, but I thought in the interest of time and not trying to have to outline a video that we would just sit and chat today. So we're going to talk about fall goals and everything that's coming up for me and for this channel, and I encourage you to share your fall goals and the things that you're thinking about, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, your spring goals with us here in the comments so we can all cheer each other on. Anyway, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. So we're just going to go through some of the things that are coming up for me. I have really been going through, and I've mentioned this multiple times, a transitional phase for me. And it's so interesting because I had a friend and coach, like a life coach, I don't know exactly what her title is, say to me, okay, I know you're going through this transition. I am too. What was going on in your life 7 years ago? And were you also going through a big transition at that time? And the truth is, I was going through a massive, one of the biggest transformations of my whole life exactly 7 years ago. And if I look back on my photos from 2017, August, September, that is when we were first moving to Charleston. And in fact, we didn't even know in early July that we were going to be able to move because we couldn't sell our house, and everything fell together like really, really quickly with our house being rented out to a military family for 3 years, us getting literally overnight a beautiful place by the beach there in Charleston. I did not at that time even have a Heart Breathings channel. I didn't know for sure that I was going to be doing YouTube. I was going through major transformations in my personal life. I was going through transformations in my writing life, in my health. So many different things were changing, and going into the transition of Andrew turning 5 years old that summer and going into basically kindergarten. So big transformations in our life. So that was really eye-opening that we do go through cycles and we go through seasons of our life. And sometimes those cycles repeat for whatever reason. I don't know if you believe in numerology. I don't actually even know anything about numerology, but it was an interesting take, and it was interesting that it did fall in line for me for that 7 years. So if you're going through a big transition, maybe look back 7 years in your past and see if you were also going through a transformation. And the great thing that this coach said to me that was really encouraging was, look how much after the struggle of that transition you have thrived. And that is so true. We did not know what was going to be happening in our lives at that time. And there were a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty. And I never could have planned in a million years that 7 years later, I would be sitting in this house, that we would have 2 children, that I would have this YouTube community that I love so much, that I would be teaching courses. There's so much. But where I feel the big transition now is this realization of, I don't want to be mainly an author, tuber, course creator, coach, although I love that part of my life and I love serving this audience. And I can see how much of a difference I've made in people's lives and how much of a difference you all have made in my life. And I love this community, but my heart misses the fun of creating and writing. And I know that you guys have been witness to this here on this channel, that I keep promising, oh, the book is almost done, and then it's not finished. And then I do an order, and like all the books that are sitting behind me are books people have paid for that they ordered last October, November, and I still haven't gotten them out to them. Now they know and decided to wait until Vanessa Shaw was over, and those people are amazing and waiting patiently. But it's just, I feel like when it comes to my goals, my time, over and over again for the last several years, unintentionally, we talk about unintentional sacrifices sometimes, it is that my attention consistently goes to the thing that has the deadline. And I am just that kind of person. I need external motivation and accountability. And I know this about myself, but it has been more difficult to create that true accountability for my writing. I will tell my readers, hey, this book is coming out. I know we're going to set it up for pre-order. It's almost done. But it still feels like a breakable deadline, whereas getting this video out every week and staying consistent with heart breathings and everybody knowing that there's a course and I'm delivering that course and I have to show up for these live streams and everything else, that feels more like a deadline. And in a lot of ways, my attention is going to go to whatever's due this week. And same thing with the travel. If I have a speaking engagement this week, that is going to take precedence over getting the writing done. And it has been, I think I started the writer reset last summer or sometime last year. And that was helpful in getting back to a place of joy and reconnecting with my writing. And I have consistently been working on my writing, but my brain is not at full writing capacity because it's not my sole focus. And I've mentioned this before, I have people in my life that have told me you just can't do both. And so you need to just give one up, or you need to understand that this is just always going to be your focus. And I just am not ready to accept defeat with that. And I know you can leave a heart emoji in the comments if you're like this. I know we have a lot of multi-passionate entrepreneurs here who also don't want to hear that message. Truthfully, I feel like we live in a world of infinite possibility right now. And so for anybody to take that and say, you can only be this one thing and only go down this one path, and you can no longer follow where your heart is leading you, just feels like, it doesn't feel like truth to me. It feels like restriction. And yes, is it a more difficult path to try to write two genres, run two different businesses, be a mom and a full-time, author or whatever? Yes, it is a more difficult path. And there are intricacies to making that work and to finding that balance. But I am not ready to accept that it's impossible. And so I'm going to keep working toward that. What I have been also thinking about when it comes to my goals for the rest of this year is getting back to the core of who am I? Who do I want to be in this world? And getting really crystal clear on what are my true priorities, not only with my family and my health and my personal life, but also with these two businesses that I run. Like, what is my truest priority? And the truth is, I want to be able, more than anything, to follow through on the things I said I'm going to do. And sometimes this is an added stress because I am so public with my goals and with this YouTube channel, and I feel like there's a lot of eyes on me at all time, which then also comes with a difficult mental struggle of criticism at all times. There are a lot of people who love to criticize that, hey, she said she was going to do this and look at her, she's not doing it. And, that kind of discussion goes on behind my back every single day. And it's true, which is why it hurts. Like, I haven't followed through 100% on finishing the book that I was working on for Nano, or publishing a book in the last couple of years, or, getting something I said I was going to do done. Now, there are tons of things that I have done that I said I was going to do that I've followed through on, but we have a negativity bias, right? Where we say, yeah, but I did these 10 things, but here's these 2 things that have been lingering that haven't gotten done. And those 2 things feel bigger than the 10 things that we should be celebrating. And I have been working on this in my own mental health. One, trying to block out the noise and no longer pay attention to forums or discussions or emails or other things where people are saying to me, you don't put out good work in the world and you suck and I don't like this and I don't like this and you never do what you're going to say, or I don't agree with you. Criticism is going to happen regardless. And sometimes it's quite valid criticism, and sometimes it's just mean criticism. But either way, unless it's helpful for me in serving you better or showing up better, it's not actually helpful for my mental health to just allow criticism into my life at all times. And so I have been working on that, and I can't stop what other people do. I'm never going to be able to control that, but I can control my reaction and how much I subject myself to it and how much I take it to heart. Because yes, this book has taken a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, 2 years or so, because I haven't published a new book in 3 years, but I haven't been working on this particular book that whole time. And the truth is, George and I were just talking about this morning in the car, taking the kids to school, which is another big transition, is that I haven't been working on this book in terms of daily true focus the way that I would have been working on a book before I started YouTube. And that is part of why it's taking longer. And so it's not a failure. It doesn't say anything about me and my future. It just presents to me a challenge to say, how can I continue to manage my goals and my time better so that I can stay connected with my writing and continue to do this while also showing up and serving the community that I love with Heart Breathings. And that is the biggest challenge of my life right now. And I'm working on it and I'm excited for the future. And I feel like one of the answers is more help. So I have Renee. You often see her posting as Team Sarah in some of the Facebook groups or maybe here in the comments. And now I have also hired a second assistant. Her name is Eliza, and I am very excited for the work that she'll be doing for me. And there's actually a team behind her that is going to be working to deliver stuff. So that is really exciting. There's also other ways that I'm going to be getting help here in the home, and with George, he's going to be helping with some things. I have some business collaborations coming up. So it's that next level step of leadership for me to say, I can do these things, but I cannot do it alone. And so I need help. And I feel like that's been a big step for me and something I've been working toward for quite a long time. And I'm really proud of that. So my biggest goals for this fall are continue to work on that level of balance and to follow through on the things I said I was going to do. Now, that being said, 11 minutes into the video, I want to talk about my goals coming up for the rest of this year. These are the things I promise I'm going to do. These are intentions and things that I would like to do, but things that I don't want to feel the pressure in this community of being held accountable for, because you're going to hear this and you're going to see, okay, this is probably more than I can get done. So this is aspirational and we'll see how much of it can get done. So first one, I wrote some notes, so you'll see me looking down a little bit. The first one is to finish and publish Vanessa Shaw. Obviously, this has been my goal for 2 years, but I am getting closer and closer and closer. And for the last few weeks, especially now that the kids are going back to school, which is bittersweet, but also mostly sweet at this point in terms of my time available, I am going to be working on this 5+ hours a day. This is going to be my main focus until the book is done, and it's getting very close. And I read through the first half of the book this week, and it's exactly what I want it to be, except I had one little thing that was like, this isn't as strong as it could be. So George and I went to Panera yesterday, one of my favorite writing spots. And as I was working on my note cards, so I've been keeping my note cards in this little note card holder from Amazon. I can link it down below so that I can just flip through them like this and see. So we were looking through the note cards, and suddenly I identified where the strengthening needs to happen. And we had one 5-minute conversation, and it was like a light bulb went up over my head. And suddenly all these pieces that I felt like were in place, but just not as strong as they could be, snapped together. So now I've got this passion for, okay, we're going to focus on this because this might be one of the last big twists or strengthening points. There's a lot of plants and reveals in this book, like things you find out in the beginning that are questions, and then, oh, that came to light later. Part of the challenge of this book has been making sure that all those little threads are carried through, that the reader finds out at the exact right time, that Lorelai, my main character, finds out at the exact right time. And I want the experience for my readers to be staying up all night, can't put it down. Lots of questions that get answered throughout the book. Lots of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, or like gasps or twists and turns. I just really want that. And then I also want the emotional beats. So I'm asking a lot of myself. I have really been pushing myself out of my comfort zone as a writer, and I know I have learned so much writing this book, so it's time to just bring it home. So I'm going to be working on this throughout this week, and my goal right now is, if by Friday I am at Act 3, like through the end of Act 3, and I'm only at the climax, which is where a bit of that rewrite that I needed to do comes in, I'm going to book an Airbnb and I'm going to disappear for 4 days. And I will probably do a vlog, and hopefully in hindsight, that vlog will be called Finishing Vanessa Shaw, and I will bring you along on that journey with me. when I am at this stage of edits, the book is finished, and it has been finished. It's a little over 100,000 words at this point, though I think it will be closer to 110,000 words. But it's just a matter of strengthening it, making sure that it's exactly what I want it to be, pulling out words or sentences that don't feel strong, and then writing down all those plants and reveals, meaning there's something, some people call it like Chekhov's gun type stuff, or just plants and reveals or threads that come around. When I mention these pills, where does that come back around? When she has this flashback, where does that come around? I know I'm being a little bit vague, but understanding that and making sure it's as strong as it can be so that the reader experience. So at this point in the edits, everything I read, I'm not looking at it from an author standpoint. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of how will my readers see this? And then the real test will be when I pass this off to my beta readers who know almost nothing about the story itself. Will they be surprised and shocked and delighted and all of those feelings that I want them to feel? And then I know the book is done. So hoping for a September release, but I have said hoping for an August, a July, a March release. So at this point, I'm sort of releasing myself of any concrete expectations, but that's the top of the list, is marketing, promoting, finally releasing Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. I actually have commissioned a second cover for this book, and we're in process of trying to get that done. So we'll see how that all turns out. I'll share launch plans and everything else with you as we go. The second big goal in terms of my writing stuff is really Broken Chapter Society. So this is my membership for readers, where I'm going to be creating secret society of readers who are basically curators of stories that we're hiding from or protecting from organizations like the Order of Shadows, which is the bad guy in all of my Shadow Demon Saga books. And so it's a society, it's a community, it's a subscription. And throughout that subscription, I will be writing and telling a serialized story called A Mirror of Shadows, which at this point, according to my plans, will be a trilogy of novels told serialized, and I'm going to be doing the whole thing on YouTube. Originally, I was planning to deliver it on Ream, but I did have some concerns about whether Ream was going to work for me because I'm so much on video, and at the moment, Ream doesn't have video integration. You would have to just post a link to a YouTube video and then make that YouTube video private. So there were already things about Ream that were not ideal for me. And then there was a lot of turmoil and drama with the leadership team at Ream. And I'm not obviously going to go into it too much because I honestly adore both Amelia and Michael and have enjoyed every interaction that I've had with both of them. And it is true that any kind of startup or business relationship, like I myself have had people that I felt like were super good friends of mine that I wrote books with, that I collaborated with, that I'm no longer friends with because personalities, values, other things clashed. And it just happens. And it happens when there are good people on both sides, but just misunderstandings. And so I have nothing but good feelings for the people who work for Ream, the people who no longer work for Ream, but I just don't think it's the platform that's right for me at this time. I know people have asked, would I recommend you start on Ream? I think it's still going to be just as amazing of a platform as it ever was, because I think it was always Amelia Rose's brainchild. And I think it's going to continue to do everything they said they were going to do. And so if you were already looking at Ream, I think it's still an amazing option. But for me right now, it's not the option I'm going to go with. And part of that is because I already have a community of my own on YouTube. We do a Friday coffee chat over on my Sarra Cannon channel. You're welcome to come join. I think I have about 10,000 subscribers over there, maybe 11,000 subscribers. I want to keep building that. So even though YouTube takes a greater percentage than Ream takes 10%, YouTube takes 30%. So it's much more like Amazon. I already have my community built on YouTube. So my Broken Chapter Society will start out as a YouTube subscription, like a YouTube membership. And then there will also be a component that will be built out on my website at probably sarracannon.com, but maybe brokenchaptersociety.com. And that will be a gated kind of paywall. There are already things in progress that are getting designed that will go out as mailers and fun story things. And my goal for Broken Chapter Society is to make it a a really great story that's being serialized, similar to how I did The Witch's Key during the pandemic, but also something that consistently surprises and delights the people who are members of it. I want it to be all fun. I want it to feel like play for me and not stress. And so George and I bought a large whiteboard. I don't know if I have a photo of it. We bought a large whiteboard and we started going through and just mapping out. I do have a picture though. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. We started mapping out all of the chapters and all the bonuses and all the things people are going to get as part of Broken Chapter Society, and how can we do loyalty cards and library cards and names for things, and it just lit me up. And when things light me up and make me feel excited, then I know it's the right thing for me. So Broken Chapter Society, I'm not going to go too much into exactly how many episodes and how I'm serializing it, because I'll do a video on that when it's more settled, but it will be happening over on YouTube. If you think you might want to join the Broken Chapter Society and you already followed me over on Ream, come follow me instead over at my Sarra Cannon YouTube channel. It is linked to the very bottom of the description below. So the next one, of course, is A Mirror of Shadows. That is part of what will be delivered through the Broken Chapter Society. And then once it is completed on YouTube, in terms of readings and things like that, it will also be published as a novel on Amazon, Google Play, Apple, everywhere else. I might also add Kickstarter into that, where once it's done on YouTube, I run a Kickstarter for a special edition of that particular novel and have some extras that go along with it. And the people in my Broken Chapter Society will get access to some of those things as well for a discount. So I've got plans of how that's all going to integrate, but I don't want to say too much of it for that same reason I was talking about earlier. I want to be able to follow through on the things I say. And sometimes I have a bad habit of just saying, oh, I'm going to do all these things because I'm excited about it. And then I have to pull myself back, and then people hold me accountable. And I just want to say some of this, I'm going to try to hold some things back, although that is not my nature. My nature is to just tell all the things I'm excited about. But anyway, A Mirror of Shadows, I want to at least publish the first book and get through the first book this year. Then Project Phoenix. So I can't remember even when I did my first Project Phoenix video here, sometime last year. This has been a project in terms of revamping my backlist, redoing some of my covers, getting my back matter, some bonus scenes for my newsletter, and really ramping up my income again and selling more books. It's been a goal of mine for 2 years, and it's moved very, very slow because, like I said, there's always something that has a deadline that takes priority. And I'm just ready to get moving on it. And now that I have more help in the form of a second assistant team, I think some of that will move forward. And I actually might be probably will be hiring a third person just for this project. So if you know anybody who is really good at vellum formatting and uploading books, changing blurbs, doing some of that kind of work, please let me know. I have a couple people that have been recommended to me, but if you know of someone who could also do that kind of specific backlist work, that would be super helpful for me, like reformatting books, reformatting blurbs, auditing, and doing some other stuff like that. Then audiobooks. So I am in the process of getting all of my Shadow Demon Saga, which is my main best-selling series, into audio. Kylie Stewart is a member of our community, and she is an amazing, very well-respected narrator, and she is working her way through these books. So we did Beautiful Demons last year, then she had a beautiful baby girl and took a little bit of time off. Now she is finished with book 2, Inner Demons. Next week she'll start with book 3, and we're gonna just start moving through these. So one of the things I need to do is come up with my strategy for rapid releasing these books. Ideally, I'd like to release one audiobook a month for 12 months, and by the 12th month, the final book is actually coming out. So we will see how that goes. I have these Fairhope books behind me. Those are my only audiobooks currently, are the first 3 books in the Fairhope series. And those have been exclusive basically to the Audible universe because of the way that I did them through ACX. So I'm gonna pull them out of ACX. I might finish out that series as well. And I'm looking into things like large print and other formats, hardcover, special editions, and all of that will be kind of over the next year of work. In October, we have the Spooktacular. So the Spooktacular is my fan event every year to celebrate my sort of indie publishing anniversary. My very first book, Beautiful Demons, came out October 29th, 2010. And so this will be the 14th anniversary of that book. And we typically do like 13 days of events at the end of October. But this, as you can imagine, has been really difficult over the last 3 years because what I have been doing, which has been difficult, is the whole month of October is Preptober, where there's a lot of videos coming out. There's a whole Preptober workbook that I give away for free. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of comments, a lot of things like that. Then in addition, I've had my Spooktacular event, which is daily blog posts, daily giveaways, daily live streams and videos, all that stuff going on at the same time. And then turning around, going from October 31st Halloween party to November 1st, where I started 30 full days of daily 20-minute vlogs for NaNoWriMo, and then going straight from that into planner season. And Your Path Forward is going to be redone partially this year. I've got a manifesting course that's called Manifest Your Best Year, and then HB90 in December. It has been that fourth quarter of the year is usually super fun, but also so exhausting that by the time I get to the last couple of weeks of December, I'm so burned out I can't even enjoy the like New Year, Happy New Year feeling. And so then January typically ends up being a rest and recovery month, even though I've got Publish and Thrive coming up again, and it's just so busy. And so this year I'm rethinking and reimagining exactly how I can deliver a similar feeling experience to the people that love NaNoWriMo diaries, that love the Spooktacular, but not put quite so much on my shoulder back to back to back to back, where there's so much expectation every day, because I can't write during that. I can't really spend as much time with my family. It gets to be close to burnout every single year, which then starts the next year not at my best. And so I want to rethink how I want to do Spooktacular. And I think instead of doing 13 straight days, it's going to start October 1st, and it's going to be an entire month of events, but less than 13 days total and more spread out and getting more help. So my new assistant team is already working on things for Spooktacular in October. So that's coming up. Second page, Heart Breathing's YouTube channel here. So we're still gonna do Preptober. I'm still gonna do the NaNoWriMo diaries. I'm thinking actually of starting some of the Preptober stuff in September coming up, because I feel like by the time we get into October and we start thinking about how to prep for NaNoWriMo, then it's already too late, right? We already need to be in the outlining phase. So the learning phase and the exploratory phase almost needs to happen more in September. So I'm already starting to plan out some of how that will look. Then when we get to November, maybe instead of doing daily vlogs, I might do 3 times a week vlogs, or I might do daily videos, but some of them will be more sit down like this. I did a few of that last year as well instead of vlogs. I do have a new video editor that's going to be working with me, but they take 3 days to get the videos back, so that won't fully work either for daily vlogs. So I don't know. We're going to continue to think through that. HB90 also is another piece of my goals, where I am going to be redoing my entire HB90 course for December. And I've got travel coming up and other things. There's always a possibility it won't come through, but that's my intention and my aspiration right now. And I will be adding some student perspective as bonuses of, I have autism and ADHD, and here's how I use this program, and here's the pieces that work for me, and here's how it doesn't. Or I have this other neurodivergence, or I have this other chronic illness that needs special accommodations, and here's how I work that into HB90. So those will be bonus content on top of the things that I'm presenting. And I'm working on trying to get a printed, unbound but punched version of HB90. I'm not going to say more about it than that, because I can't guarantee it will happen by the end of this year, but it is something on my list to get a printed version of HB90. So those of you that don't like printing your own or can't figure out how to print your own A5s, the intended sizes that I would start with would be A5, Happy Planner size, and letter size. And we'll see if we can get that done. The biggest downside or challenge with it is cost, because it's a quarterly planner. but it costs a lot to get nice paper and to get it shipped out and get it printed. And so it would be potentially a quarterly planner for like $30 or $40, which is still going to be cost prohibitive to some people. And so trying to balance that where it makes it worth my time and effort. Plus, if it's dated, there's just different ways when you're handling digital inventory versus physical inventory. And if it's dated and I put a lot of money and time into it and then it doesn't sell, so we might start with a pre-order instead of a like stock. So I'm working through all those things on the back ends. And then the final goal before we go, I'm like, I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes, and it's like 40 minutes of chatting every time. It's just my personality. Thank you for staying. If you have stuck around, thanks for being here. So the final one is really my personal goals. So you heard me in the notebook challenge, if you watched that, talk about Project 48. I will be 48 in January. And there are a lot of ways in which I feel like I need to shift my health. I have already shifted my home. I got just sick and tired of searching for things, living still in boxes from the move, things being consistently messy in my bathroom. So I hired earlier this year organizers to come in. It was an investment, but it has made all the difference. Like, our house stays clean so much easier. And it's just made a massive difference in my life to have that organization done. And so now I'm looking to build on that and start healthier, happier routines, and just some other personal changes I want to make in my life. And so I'm calling that Project 48, which is basically this time period between this moment right now and the day I turn 48 in January of 2025. And just thinking about all the things I want to improve about my life. Partially flows into the business side because it's like, I want to change, being able to follow through on the things that are important to me, being able to run both businesses, but still be primarily a writer and not necessarily primarily just a YouTuber or just a course creator. I want to be all of those things. And so figuring out what that looks like is part of Project 48. And I want to be in a very different place in my life by the time I get to the end of January next year. And so I'm going to be focusing on very intentional changes in my life and a lot of motivation and encouragement. And I talked about this before, that I'm basically going to be creating, as a lifelong learner, a syllabus for my own personal growth. And I think, was it Kate Kavanaugh? Some of you watch her videos. I know she's amazing. She was talking about doing a syllabus for learning to write. And I didn't watch all those videos, but I think the gist of it was to create a syllabus for, I'm going to study edits, and I'm going to study plot, and I'm going to study this, and here's how I'm going to do it, just as if you were a student at university. So I'm creating similar thing for myself with my own personal growth. So I have manifesting classes and like trauma PTSD support classes and coaching and other things that I'm going through. And it's hopefully going to continue to be transformational, but I just want to like hyper focus on that. So there's lots of things going on over the next 6 months for me. And I know it might not be possible to do and follow through with all these things just in 6 months, but that's kind of my look ahead to what is on my radar for the next 6 months and even possibly for the next year. And some of it is a lot of changes to my schedule, a lot of changes to my general identity and way of being, and I'm here for it because I think I'm finally settled and grounded, and I've been spending a lot of time over the last 2 years coming face to face with who I really am, with my own strength, my own resilience, and hopefully getting stronger in a lot of ways. And I'm ready to keep building on that and keep living my dream life. That's what this is all about. So anyway, super, super long chat. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did stay to the end, go ahead and leave, let's see, a book emoji down below, or some kind of writing emoji if you'd like, or anything that represents goals to you, and tell me why. If you want to share your own goals in the comments, I would love to hear them. I am going to be hopefully recording a how I'm finishing Vanessa Shaw vlog coming up, and then we'll get into some writing content, some more weekly resets, and lots of great videos here on this channel. And I'm so glad that you're here. Make sure that you subscribe and comment down below to let me know what you're up to this fall. I super love you all. I'm so grateful that you're part of this community, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.